as I like to say, and you've probably heard it a few times already, if someone was perfect, they wouldn't have been born in the first place. What's the purpose of being born on earth if you're already perfect, right? Everybody is imperfect. That, welcome to the club of the imperfect. Yes, we're all imperfect, so we have to accept that fact, not just say I'm imperfect, what can I do? But we try and improve our behavior, learn from our mistakes. Well, even if we've learned from the mistake, the subconscious mind may feel that things aren't quite right. That's because we've upset other people in the process, and there's still a strain between us and the other people. So we need to smooth that out some way. So it depends how close the person is, what you do. If it's an immediate family member, you can just apologize. You talk all the time, so you can just say, I'm sorry, I should have done it this way. And the other person says, oh, apology accepted, and you've smoothed it out. But say if it's a supervisor at work, you can't just go up and apologize. They don't, it's not the protocol of that situation. But you can try and be extra friendly toward them, or maybe if it's figure out when their birthday is and say happy birthday. You can do something that's appropriate for any situation to smooth it out. If it's a casual acquaintance, and you're having a party, you could invite them to your party. You normally wouldn't, but you reach out to them in some way, you smooth it out. That's the third step. The fourth step is necessary is if after you complete the first three steps, you still feel bad about it. That means it was a serious mistake. You really did something seriously wrong. And that's where penance or prayaschitta comes in. That's where we have our kavadi to Lord Murugan, for example. That's a very strong one in the community in Mauritius, kavadi to Lord Murugan. Always, they had this problem in Malaysia for a few years. I think it's under control now, but a lot of the kavadi carrying was the teenage boys trying to impress their girlfriends with how big a kavadi they could carry. Wrong spirit, right? That's not the supposed to be the motivation behind carrying kavadi. Bigger spear than you, right? So, well, what is the motivation? Well, the motivation is you feel you made a mistake and you're still regretting it, so you need to tell that to Lord Murugan. You need to say, Lord Murugan, I made this mistake. Then you need to further tell him, I'm going to try my best not to repeat it again. It's unrealistic to say I won't repeat it again, because it may be a strong habit. But you can try your best not to repeat it again. And you ask for his blessings in that process. So that's a good spirit for kavadi. Well, kavadi can be done for other reasons too. I'm not saying you can only do kavadi if you're compensating for a mistake. But the basic idea is you need some form of penance, some discipline, even just fasting for a couple, fasting a few meals might be enough. You don't have to go out and carry kavadi for every mistake you make. But something which involves self-denial, some form of penance. You're kind of punishing yourself for having done this wrong thing. So those are the four responses to having made a mistake. And afterwards, we should feel okay. Either if it requires 2 responses, 3 or 4 responses, we should feel okay, because Hinduism is not a religion of guilt. We're not supposed to walk around feeling bad for everything we did wrong in our life. No. That's not the point. We're supposed to compensate for it. We're going to make mistakes, but we compensate and then we feel okay. Because we're a divine being and we want to identify with that more and more, shall we say. We're a divine being living in, we're a divine being, the soul that's inhabiting physical body, which has an instinctive mind, which can harm people, an intellectual mind, which can complicate life by thinking too much. But the soul is inside it. The soul is already perfect, and we just have to deal with the imperfection that surrounds it. One of the false concepts that relates to this, I'll tell a story, because stories are the best part, right? So, it's happened a number of times, maybe 5 times so far. I get someone, generally they're at least in their 60s, maybe in their 70s, who all of a sudden is in a hurry for moksha. I don't know what they've been doing their whole life, but now all of a sudden, moksha is really important. What can I do to achieve moksha? I have to achieve moksha in this life, right? So what's wrong with that approach? Well, it's not a Hindu approach. It's really a Western approach in disguise. It's the idea that you really only have one life. Well, we might only have one life. Of course, I believe in reincarnation, but just in case, let's get it all done in this life. Hedging your bets, as they say. So that is missing an important point, is that we have to resolve our karma. So we can't speed that up all of a sudden just because we're 60 years old. It doesn't work that way. Karma doesn't speed up just because you want it to. It's coming at a certain pace. The pace was set at your time of birth. There's some difficult times, there's some wonderful positive times, it goes back and forth. So astrology, I like to say astrology choreographs your karma. Act 1, everything's great. Act 2, not so good. Act 3, disaster. Act 4, everything's great again. It spaces out the negative so it doesn't overwhelm you. And it's very hard to speed it up. You can speed it up, but you probably have to join the monastery. So it's not really practical. Otherwise, you'd have to, in your retirement years, really do a lot of sadhana, kind of live like which could work for someone who's individuals who are widows or widowers. If they don't have a spouse, the kids are taken care of, you could kind of live like a sadhu somewhat, and that would speed it up some. But even then, you're only doing it for maybe 5 years. So you can't really effectively cause a major change in the pace of your karma. So we need to accept the fact that our karma is coming at a certain point, at a certain pace, and therefore enjoy life. Not try and rush to the end, because yesterday was painful, I'm going to rush to the end and get this over with. It doesn't work that way. We want to enjoy life, enjoy the journey. It's a long journey. We want to enjoy each other's company, but we want an overall idea that we're resolving karma. How? By learning from it, learning from our mistakes and not repeating them. So thank you very much. Om Namah Shivaya.